Let's face it, everybody loves Wi-Fi. Maybe you're in charge of a small office, home office, and there's some areas where you want to bring internet connectivity, but there's no way you want to run wires there. Or maybe you're sitting in a coffee shop and you want to get some work done, and of course your work requires that you access the internet. Wi-Fi is the answer. In this nugget, we're going to take a little history lesson though, and we're going to look at the various generations of Wi-Fi standards that have come out, and we'll also take a look at the changing face of securing these wireless networks. So here's a table that I put together, and there's so much that we have to know in this table. Don't worry, I'll incorporate this table into the flashcards for you because that's going to be a great way to memorize a lot of this information. Notice we have the particular technology, and then we have the speed, the distance, the year it came out, and the frequency that it uses, the frequency channel band that it utilizes. There's a lot of approximations in this chart. For instance, it was roughly 1999 that we started seeing 802.11b devices hit the market. What was the problem here? Well, there's two problems. One, the maximum theoretical height of its speed, 11 megabits per second, we would never achieve that. We'd get about 50% of that maximum speed if we were lucky. It could go 300 feet, but we know that was pushing it, obviously. And the farther away you went from the access point, the weaker the speed became, right? And then it used the 2.4 gigahertz frequency channel, and it used technology that would make it very susceptible to interference. One of the funniest things that I can remember happening way back then was I would be in my father's house with my laptop, and I had set him up with an access point for 802.11b. And every time someone used the microwave, I'd use microwave popcorn, someone would make tea, you name it, everyone would get knocked off the Wi-Fi. So very susceptible from interference from things like microwave ovens and cordless phones and baby monitors and everything else that wants to use that particular frequency range. 802.11 came along and it said, look, we'll use the 5 gigahertz range. We'll do new technology that'll allow us to get up to a theoretical 54 megabits per second. Notice big time speed jump, but notice the realistic distance that you could be away from the access point and get those higher speeds went down. By the way, this was roughly around 2002. Then we all got excited in 2003 because 802.11g came along. It gave the same theoretical max speeds as 802.11a. It could go farther. It went back to that 2.4 gigahertz range, so we could use a mix and match of B and G type devices. And this was around 2003, I think, as I mentioned. Then 802.11n. Look at the huge jump in theoretical maximum speeds. Remember, these speed maxes are theoretical and you'll see different numbers. So if you see a document that says 802.11 could work at a maximum of 600 megabits per second, don't be freaked out. We're talking theoretical maximums anyways for these particular technologies. Look at great distance, 230 feet. This was around 2006. And notice that 802.11n could take advantage of the 2.4 gigahertz band or the 5. So a very unique technology. Today, as you know, we love 802.11 AC devices. A gigabit per second, some documentation has that at 1.3. You can do all kinds of tricks to build up to that kind of a theoretical bandwidth, 230 feet. This started hitting around 2014. We know it's the rage today as I record this, and it is restricted to that 5 gigahertz band. So you can see what's happening here. We're getting longer reach technologies. We're getting faster technologies being developed all the time. As you might guess, advancements are coming along in how you can disseminate the wireless signal, how you can use antenna technology in these devices in order to improve our overall speeds and distances that we can reach. Now, one of the things that we are definitely concerned about when it comes to wireless, though, is sure, we have this faster, stronger signal with new technologies that reaches further, but think about it. It reaches further. What if someone wants to be on the edge of our network and they want to start intercepting information that we're sending? We obviously need to secure our wireless network, unless we're in a situation where we want everyone to jump on as guests. Notice I'm in the settings here for a wireless access point, and notice under security it says I can turn it off or I can use something called WPA/WPA2. Now, this is interesting. So I got security or no security. And if I have security, it's going to be with WPA or WPA2. Where is something called WEP? Wired Equivalent Privacy. I mean, it's listed in our A+ objectives, and it's not even here. Yeah, the manufacturer here of this device says, we're not even going to let you use WEP. We don't even want to show you that as an option. Wired Equivalent Privacy is no longer considered secure, which is funny because it sure has a brave sounding name. You'd get the same privacy that you would if you were communicating over a wired network. But sure enough, certain weaknesses in WEP make it really not an option for us today. So we really want to eliminate WEP from our networks today and replace it with Wi-Fi protected access. That sounds a little bit less bold of a statement, but it's much stronger security. There's two technologies that we find in WPA and WPA2. And by the way, why you see them kind of together is that when this first came out, it was very quickly enhanced with this version 2. So a lot of devices, like I just showed you, will kind of say, hey, you're going to do WPA/WPA2 type of technology. So today on modern devices, I guess we could really say, though, we're taking advantage of the second generation technology. Why it's so incredible compared to WEP is that it's got two workhorse protocols working behind the scenes, something called TKIP and something called AES. What TKIP is all about, it's called Temporal Key Integrity Protocol, and it's all about making sure that the key that we're using, the passcode, doesn't get cracked. That was the problem with WEP, really, was that the passcode could be cracked and it would be a disaster for your wireless network if that were to happen, obviously. So TKIP really helps to make sure there's not going to be a cracking of our password. And then as far as the protection of information that we're exchanging in the wireless cell, we use the Advanced Encryption Standard Technology, or AES. This is some of the greatest advancements that we've ever had in encryption, and this is incorporated now into the security of our Wi-Fi, which is really good because we have stuff in Wi-Fi, of course, like war driving. Have you ever heard of this? Yeah, this is someone driving around looking for poor security. And these days, that would probably be an older WEP secured network, and then either trying to steal information off that network, or at the very least, they're just utilizing bandwidth that they're not paying for. So it's very important with technologies like war driving that we have a good, strong security in place with our Wi-Fi. Well, that means it is pop quiz time in this particular nugget. What wireless technology offers very fast speed and uses the 5 gigahertz range? Interesting. Very fast speed, not very specific, but this is certainly specific, the 5 gigahertz range. 802.11b was slow. Yeah, this is old technology right here. We don't see it a lot today. That is off the chart here because it is 2.4 gigahertz in its operation. How about 802.11ac? Yeah, sure enough, it is in that 5 gigahertz range, and I'd consider it fast. So what we would do in the exam is we would you could even jot down on your scratch paper that you like B, but then you'd continue to examine the other options. 802.11n is an interesting choice here. It can do the 2.4 or the 5 gigahertz, so it could be that answer we're looking for. We'll skip it and move on to the next one. 802.11g, that's a 2.4 gigahertz technology, so we can take that off of our list of options. Well, now all we really have to know is which technology came later. Yep, you better believe it. 802.11ac is the later technology. 802.11n was the range for a bit. The rage, I should say, and it has a nice big range, and it started out around 2006. But our current high-speed technology utilizing the 5 gigahertz range is indeed the 802.11ac technology. And by the way, just by way of a little bit of further review here at the end of our nugget, with this great current technology, how would we secure it? Remember, that would be WPA2. Absolutely. And we would not use the earlier WEP technology. So in this nugget, we jumped in our DeLorean time machine and we set the date for 1999. That's right. 802.11b is where we started out. And we were tuning in on the radio that day to Livin' La Vida Loca. Come on, Livin' La Vida Loca. Oh, I love that, Ricky Martin. We know that a lot has changed since 1999 and 802.11b, and we took a look at those technologies in this particular nugget, as well as how to secure them. I sure hope you found this nugget informative, and I'd like to thank you for viewing.